NightMayr. Oh my goodness, how exciting. Shout out to our wall of fame here. We would not be here without our wonderful donors. So I guess this episode I will dedicate to Miss Amy Taylor. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who donated. This is so exciting. Today we have on the show one of my absolute best friends, one of my absolute favorite people, one of my favorite internet people. She's just, you know her, you love her. Ms. Keri Smith, welcome back to the show.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. This studio is very cool.
Stop, go on.
It is. It's so professional. I love it. Actually, my husband and I were admiring your wallpaper because we want to do, is this like, what do you call this style?
Smart.
Smart. You just want to touch it.
Intellectual. I don't know. Is it like it's like a brocade? It's like a velvet. Brocade.
Well, when we get around to finally renovating our dining room, I want something like that.
Ooh.
With some gold in it.
Yeah, I wanted it to look smart and soothing. Two things that I am not. So, yeah.
I'm so impressed. Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, you're here. I spared no expense in getting Keri Smith here. No, she just happened to be in New York City. And I was like, please come to the studio. And Filthy, shout out to producer Filthy, he was telling us before the show that we have all the same fans and I guess haters. He was like, yeah. He said, Keri, you're loved by the Chrissie Mayr community.
Yeah. I said, and also hated. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I do. Lately, when we were talking about, we just had some pizza. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about stuff.
So if you smell it, chat, that's why.
And she was like, what could we talk about? And I said, well, if we talk about the so-called woke right stuff, there will be some people who get upset. Just know that. And she said, that's okay. We can talk about that.
Why does that make people upset?
Well, I think for a couple reasons. There are some people who just don't like the phrase. They understand what's being described, but they don't like the phrase tactically, which I understand.
Woke is a leftist word.
And I'm kind of in that group because the phrase, I feel like we just got to a place where normies understand what woke is. And if you're introducing now this whole idea of a woke right, that can be very confusing for people. And you might weaken the effectiveness of the word in describing the left, right? Yeah. So I get that complaint about it completely. But then there are some people who think that the group that it's describing or the ideology that it's describing doesn't even exist. And so they get very angry. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the woke, how mad they get, where they're like, that's not a thing. Why don't you define it? Like, you can't even define it. I'm like,
the
okay.
word woke, I mean, I don't know if I would call it the same thing because the woke right, it's an essentially, maybe would you call them like fundamentalists or would you call them more like Christian conservatives?
The woke right?
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason the term is taken off, well, first of all, James Lindsay definitely has popularized the term online. And so a lot of people want to hate on him if you even bring up this growing ideology, this growing resentment and stuff that is masquerading, in my opinion, masquerading as being on the right. If you even want to talk about it, they want to talk about him. And they want to take pot shots at him.
I've noticed so much James Lindsay hate, but I don't quite understand where it came from because I'm like, I love James Lindsay. He's been on the show a bunch of times. I think he's a really smart guy. He's been dead on about so much, and I think he's a great thinker. So I don't know. I'm just like, I need this to be explained to me like I'm retarded.
Okay. So there are people. People say, why don't you just call them what they are? Why don't you call them white supremacists? Why don't you call them grapers? Why don't you call them anti-Semites? Why don't you call them all these? Because I think right now, woke right, if you use that phrase, woke right, it sort of encompasses all of that because there's different kinds. But basically, I'll lay it out for you and then chat can decide if they disagree or if they have comments.
Right, and how is it different from far right? Or
it's probably what used to be called the far right. But here's some things they have in common. Like ideology-wise. I'm not talking about tactics. We can talk about that later. But in terms of what they believe, they are similar to the woke left in some ways. They believe, just like the woke, that we should judge and treat people differently based on what race they are, based on their sex, you know.
Whether they have sex or not.
Whether they have sex or not, yes, some of them. But they will say things like, it's so funny because think about this. You guys, if you've interacted with the woke before, you know, they'll say stuff like, if you're a man, you don't get to have an opinion.
You don't have a uterus. You don't need to be in this conversation.
They'll say, you know, shut your mouth, sit down, shut up and listen to women. You don't get to have an opinion. You have male privilege, you know.
And then you listen to women and you're like, oh God, why did she say that?
So the people who are being called woke right, they do something similar and they'll say, you know, women shouldn't be heard from and women shouldn't, and they just go, they actually remind me a lot of feminists, like hardcore feminists, but they're put men up here and women down here. It's like you're doing the same thing, the same retarded
like you're
thing.
A woman, like your point of view is discarded, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Some of it's
like
that.
If you're a working gal.
But it's also the race thing. They do the race thing too. They say, so, you know, the woke will say, well, if you're a white person, you need to sit down and shut up and check your white privilege. And you shouldn't, you don't get to have an opinion on what racism is and blah, blah, blah. Well, they will do the same thing about race. They'll say that
sit down
black
and eat
people
our
need to shut up.
unseasoned chicken. We have to sit down and eat our watery coleslaw, our bologna,
our tuna noodle casserole.
Yes, bologna on white. What else is white people food?
I think tuna noodle casserole is the epitome.
I was raised on noodles and butter.
There you go.
Mayonnaise?
To me, yes, with mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
God, I start a product line. Stat. Write that down, intern. We have an intern here. I've never been happier.
But so I just see some of these similar things happening, and it kind of is like, wait a minute, are you becoming the monster you're fighting? Are you becoming the thing that you hate, where you're just sort of going over to this other extreme? And now, then I will sometimes hear people say, well, these people like Nick Fuentes and the Goipers and all these people are bots, or they're feds, or some of them think Nick Fuentes is some kind of paid operative because, you know, January 6th, he was on camera with a bullhorn telling people to go inside, and like,
I walked past him. He was there. I remember he was like, he and a bunch of his homies were standing on this statue, like yelling at people. With a horn.
He was like, go inside. Well, people that worked under him said he turned all these people in. He doesn't. The thing about him is, I think some of them are paid. I think some of them are ops. Like they are.
Well, when we learned about how many feds were just involved with January 6th to begin with, it had to have been. What did they say? 75, which means it had to have been a couple hundred.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they're not going to give you the
There was
real
like
number.
1 million people there that day, so it was a lot. Yeah.
So some of them, I think, are like total phonies and frauds, and they're there to help the woke left by providing this sort of boogeyman of the thing that the woke left pretended always existed. They get to be that boogeyman, and I think they work hand in hand. But a lot of the followers are sincere. Like a lot of the people online that I've encountered on X and stuff anyway, they seem to be sincere. They're like really believing some of this crap and like falling for this crap. And if you think about it, like I was thinking about in the woke left, why was that appealing to people? Why was that whole ideology? It preyed on resentment. Like it grew resentment in people. Like why not me? And my race is put upon, and my sex is put upon, my identity, blah, blah, blah. Well, a lot of these guys who are preaching this stuff now on the right, I'm going to put that in quotes, they're preaching the same crap. They're like, you're put upon, the white race is put upon, why not me? Why not me?
But there has been so much anti-white racism
true.
in the last, I don't know, 15 years. It's been pretty steady.
Yes. And that's why I think
probably
it's appealing.
Longer. Yeah.
Because then it's sort of, but at the end of the day, it doesn't reject woke ideology. It accepts it and then says, all we're going to do is flip what groups are on top. Instead of rejecting all of it outright and saying, guess what? Collectivism sucks.
Do people know how to do that? I feel like all people know how to do is to switch who's on top, because it's a two-party system. Your guy won or your guy lost. And it's like, that's how it goes until the next election, really. It's just seems it's going to be polarized either way. It's I don't know. I just feel like the last really 20 years since, I guess, Obama, it seemed like every election has been it's
more like the political
Yeah.
space is, yes, become more hateful. I mean, you can't even talk to people.
He was the most divisive president for sure.
Yeah, like on the left right now, it is very hard to talk to people, in my experience, who are on the left without them, if they find out you voted for Trump, like even if they see like a funny Trump shirt like this, without them getting mad and assuming all kinds of things about you.
At an event and there was a woman talking to you like, God, I don't know what we're going to do about these MAGA people. And you were like, I am one of them. And she was like, oh.
Well, she was actually pretty cool, but she was talking as if, I think sometimes they assume, like if they like you, they assume that you think the same. And so that's always, I find those kind of conversations cool, because then you can challenge maybe what somebody thinks about a Trump voter or whatever, like, and we're like, oh, guess what? I am one.
Yeah.
Like our friend Mike Harlow, he's like, coming out as conservative was like so much harder than coming out as gay, right?
Yeah.
Like coming out as conservative, like you lose friends and people cut you off and they think all this crazy stuff about you. And
yeah. Especially among those gays. They're unforgiving.
Right.
So...
but yeah, I just think right now here, I think we're in a season of a great unveiling, where a great revealing, where you're starting to learn a lot of these people. Like when I first came out of the woke world, like 8 or 9 years ago, I started following everyone. I wanted to hear all different opinions. I had been in a cult for so long, this echo chamber. So I was like, I'm going to hear what everybody thinks about stuff. And now I'm at the place where
How did you do that?
I followed way too many people online. Now I can't see people's stuff in my feed because I followed thousands of people. But I'll tell you, I'm whittling it down, because I'm like, oh my gosh, Jake Shields is a total dumbass and a fucking hater.
I've heard his name. So was he a wrestler or something?
Some
MMA?
kind of MMA or
Okay.
something. And then he said a lot of things that were right on that I agreed with during the COVID years. He was against a lot of the COVID policy, which I was too. But now, I mean, he's tweeting stuff about how, how could you not become an anti-Semite? He just tweeted this in seriousness.
What?
He just said this.
Oh boy.
And how could we not all arrive at this place? And how could you not become? And he admitted, by the way, that he's like, I'm not a Christian, but I say Christ is king just to piss off the Jews. And I'm like, okay, that's what some of us have been saying, is that you're using the phrase dishonestly. You're trying to pervert the word of God. Like you're trying to make a mockery of God and use that phrase to mean something else. And you're not even Christian when you say it. Like,
is this okay? Fealty is pulling up Jake Shields' Twitter.
Oh my gosh, he's like one of these Groyper adjacent guys.
There's too many people.
Yeah. Are we gonna look at a Jake Shields?
How long ago was it that he said that?
Which one?
The about becoming anti.
But now we're looking at Suleiman.
Oh,
who's
in the
that?
past day or two here. I'll send it to you,
Suleiman.
Fealty.
Well, because this is what the account popped up when I saw this.
Oh,
Jake
Shields. I'm not a Christian. I believe my daughters should not
Oh, he was
compete
replying
against
to
men.
Jake. That's my fault.
I can respect if you don't want your daughters playing sports, but I have zero tolerance for men and women's sports. I would agree with that too.
Right. But then he says, Christ is king and you are a faggot.
Who specifically is he saying this?
He said that to James Lindsay.
Oh boy.
But then today or yesterday he came out and admitted and did a separate tweet where he says, no, I'm not a Christian. I just say Christ is king to piss off the Jews. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of what people were saying, is that some people use that phrase in a disingenuous way, and that's actually taking the Lord's name in vain, because you're using it to say something.
Yeah, why
else.
would you bring that up? There's something kind of like performative about that. Like your relationship with God is personal, and you shouldn't be using God's name or
There it is. Look at that one. Philabonte retweeted it.
Trigger people. I've always been clear. I'm not a Christian. I use Christ as king because it makes Jews and grifters like Lindsay angry. That just to me sounds like a guy trying to sound tough.
Yeah.
And rake in the likes.
Right
I'm
now,
not impressed
I think
with
it's
this person.
very popular on X to say stuff just to say stuff like about like right now they do the same thing the woke do, where the woke would just point to your race or your sex or whatever to not talk to you. They'll do the same thing. They'll come in my comments and say, you are Jewish. And I'm like,
Oh,
first
people
of
have
all-
been calling me Jewish for years.
and it's like, okay, loser. But I mean,
And I'm like, how many pictures of my nose from how many different angles can I post on here? You know?
I know. But I'm not. But even if I were, like, that's just a dumb way of avoiding having a conversation. But okay. Or then they'll say, there is a segment of this, what's being called woke right. There's a segment of it that is in the Christian churches, just like woke left was in the Christian churches. And
And by the way, thank you for the super chats. We have a super chat goal, which is a new feature, I guess, on YouTube. And my lovely, fabulous, adoring husband decided without me that the super chat goal, if reached, would be to hand over my Twitter to Ms. Keri Smith here. And then she would tweet as she likes for, I don't know, how much time?
5
I think
minutes.
they said 5
5 minutes is a long time.
That'll be a lot.
It's a long
It's
time.
going to be a lot of puns.
Is it going to be punny?
Funny. It'll be punny dad jokes.
Just don't look in my drafts. There's a lot of terrible things in there. Okay. Wow, we've got a couple super chats already from K Max. Oh my gosh, what's up, homie? Thanks for the pink boy. Can a white identity ever be positive and allowed? I see all other races talk pride, and it's not called hatred or criminal. Oh God, it's moving up. It's not called hatred or criminal. Communities do form based on race, religion, and language, but race is a part. Hard not to respond to all the hatred towards us. I agree with K-Max.
Yeah, that's also why it's see, part of what I mean about like it doesn't reject woke is that it doesn't. It says, okay, I guess this is the way things are. So now we're going to develop all this stuff for white people, white pride, white this, white that. I saw one of these guys today did a video talking about, and it's supposedly on the right, and he's like, well, I guess I am. I mean, basically saying socialized medicine's okay for white people. I saw another one of these guys in my comments arguing for white reparations for white people, and or what he calls heritage Americans. That's a new phrase they've come up with to mean white people.
White reparations be just like a sturdy, like Ford in the driveway, just 10 years old, nothing crazy. Everyone gets a Ford Focus.
This guy wanted a check. And the thing is, like, I think the ideal is that you're at a place where you don't listen to any of the crap about white privilege or white fragility or none of that nonsense that tries to make you feel white guilt or some kind of shit. Like, I don't have anything to do with what people who had the same skin color as me did. I don't have any more than a black person does or any person. So it's to a place of ignoring all that crap without accepting their premise and saying, okay, now I'm going to have to start to really be all about the white pride. Like somebody told me I'm dishonoring my white race.
How?
Because
You're wearing cowboy boots. You've got a cowboy hat on. I saw you eat a slice of pizza earlier. Come on.
These are all white people things.
Yeah. Are you paying your taxes this year? That's a white person thing.
Yeah, and I encourage my husband to round up so we can help the government. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you had a Topo Chico, although that's a little bit Latinx, right?
Latinx.
I always thought that was like a white thing.
Oh, true. Right. Well, Topo Chico.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's a Spanish kind of sounding name, but I think it's only
but
drank
the whites
by white
have really
people,
taken it over,
right? Like a quesadilla.
Yeah.
Okay. Quackadilla.
Like a frappuccino.
You don't go to Mexico.
But I mean that comment is I don't have any beef with that at all. But I'm just saying that's kind of at the place we're at, where especially I think a lot of young men. Listen, if you're a young white guy, you've grown up with knowing nothing but woke ideology,
feeling bad about yourself.
And it demonizes men, and it demonizes white people and Asian people to some extent. And so you've grown up with that, and now there's this other extreme that's saying, hey, we're going to accept collectivism instead of individualism. We're going to accept authoritarianism instead of liberty, but we're going to put your identity groups at the top of the food pyramid. And I think that's very attractive for a reason. But I think they're pulling people down it's just as dark of a path as the woke crap.
It's the natural kind of pendulum swinging back when for so long, I mean, in the grand history of things, like, no, but in our like the history of each of our lives, it seems like white racism has been really like kind of beaten into us steadily last 15, 20 years. So what's the natural reaction to that? Well, hey, we're not so bad. We're doing our best. Yeah. White pride. How about, could we be on top for once? And then the people who believe that racism is a real thing go, well, you've been on top since forever. We can't have it. It's, what do we do other than everyone just exchanging turns, being on top, whatever that means, whatever that looks like?
I mean, my answer is going to sound cheesy, but I think the answer is Jesus.
The answer is Jesus.
I think the answer is like
every question. Yeah.
And look, this is why lately, if you are talking about this stuff, I got the woke people have been mad at me for 8 or 9 years. So the woke left people, so they will hear all of this and they will be mad because they're like, what are you talking about? White people aren't demonized. You know, like they're in La La Land, or they're like, what are you talking about? Men aren't demonized. Like they're in total La La Land. But then now I've got these people who are being lumped in, I guess, with the woke right, who are mad, who are like, why can't we ever be on top? Like that kind of thing. And it's like, if both sides or whatever mad at you, so okay, whatever, I'm still going to say what I think is true. I mean, that's all I can do. So I think another issue is that, like we were talking upstairs, we were eating, the woke left is still much more powerful. They own everything. They own
violent.
Yes, and violent and all these things. It's and so people will say, well, you're making a mountain out of a molehill because like the woke left, they control politics and entertainment and media and they have all this powerful influence. Yeah, fashion. And that's true. But I remember back before woke went mainstream, when people were noticing it, and we were told the same thing, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Back then they said, oh, this is just online. This whole woke ideology, white privilege, and check your male privilege and all this stuff is just online. Don't worry about it. It's not in the mainstream. Until
they mandated pronouns at corporate jobs, until they mandated like corporate training, like racism training. I remember all that shit I had to do.
And then once it hit mainstream, it went fast, right? Like a wildfire. It spread through everything, and it became the dominant religion. And so I don't know if woke right could ever spread like that. I don't know. But I do think what might be more realistic and also awful is if woke right is used to justify more woke left shit. Because woke left is like, look, see, here's the boogeyman we've been telling you exists that didn't used to exist. Oh, here it is now. And now we have to crack down on, you know.
God, I wonder if like the powers that be are sort of, because as you're talking, I'm thinking I would really hate for Christianity to be pegged as a woke right thing.
That's what they're trying to do.
You know, it's almost like, yeah, exactly. The powers that be, if that's their goal, I could see it going that way, to truly put a stigma on Christianity.
I think, well, that's one of the predictions or things that James Lindsay has been warning about for a while, and why he gets so much hatred is because he's an atheist who's warning about these things. But he's like, hey, I mean, a couple years ago, I remember him saying they're going to try and paint all of Christianity as white supremacists, you know, ethno-nationalism. And now you've got actual, so I don't know if your listeners have heard of this, but there's actual white nationalist so-called Christian podcasts that have a pretty popular audience grow. Like there's one
like this one. No.
There's one called Stone Choir. Okay, and this guy, the co-host, Corey Mayr, he was tweeting the other day that black people are not human, that they're like, and he's not joking. And they're,
my God.
And he's like, you know, we're Christians and we're based. And the thing about his podcast is I listened to some of it because I was like, what are all these guys listening to? Okay, now here's the thing. Just like any snake oil salesman, there's a lot of truth in there. He says a lot of things that are true about men and masculinity, positive things, right? And things about the crazy woke state of the world we're in. And so you're listening and it's truth. And then some poison mixed in, you know, and truth. And then some poison mixed in. And so I don't know. That's like, it's concerning that I know people now who are starting to say, like this guy that I really respect, Mick Olson. I just interviewed this guy. He's a Christian writer. He was like, I know guys in real life who are falling into this woke right stuff, and it's similar to the woke left in that it is culty, and they like cut off contact with you. He's like, he has friends who've cut off contact with him.
Wow.
Now that they're in this stuff. And that's what Woke Love was like.
And they are taking advantage of people who feel like they have been beaten down, like who they are. Particularly, I would feel like a type of like white guys, if they feel like they've been truly beaten down,
and they have been
from all angles, and they're looking for somebody to give them hope. I would say the overarching theme is like, just watch who you're kind of following and idolizing, and who your leaders are. Yeah,
be discerning. I mean, there's scripture about this, like, be wise as serpents, but be gentle as doves. Like, have your eyes wide open and be discerning. And I'm learning that lesson in real time. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, some of these people I developed respect for during the COVID years or whatever. Now I learn more about them. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't think I'm going to be promoting that person anymore, or like retweeting their stuff anymore, because now it's all like Candace Owens. It's all like, the Jews did 9/11, and I'm like,
first of all, that's some Jews did 9/11. Let's not lump them all together. Are we showing this picture of?
Sure, now we are.
I'm not saying it's the Jews, but it's the Jews in this picture of Candace Owens, and who is that?
That's Ian Carroll.
Ian Carroll. Well, I don't understand who Ian Carroll is. I know I'm very behind. But it's because I'm a new mom.
She actually just released an episode interviewing him like a few hours ago.
So that must be why.
So go listen to that, everyone. Wow, is that her house? Look how nice it is. That's how you can tell she has money. Like, look at all the clean glasses behind her.
Clean glasses.
Oh my goodness, a white Stanley in the background. Somebody's doing well.
he has a.
I thought you were talking about person.
He kind of came out of nowhere, but he does a lot of these sort of TikTok. I feel like an old person saying, but you like the TikTok videos where they're like right up in your face, and he does these sort of conspiratorial,
Okay.
And they have a lot of overlap in the stuff they talk about, like the Jews. And so I guess who did that tweet that you pulled up?
This was Conceptual Jews.
Oh yeah. So I guess he's kind of pointing out this is probably what their whole episode's about. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I caught her in one of her videos when, people have been telling me, she's saying a lot of questionable stuff lately. And I watched this clip that got shared where she was saying things that were factually untrue that you could easily go. And I'm like, she has a whole writing staff. Like, they would have caught this. So all I can conclude is that she knew she was saying untrue things. She was saying that on 9/11, there was this Jewish company that got a warrant. She called it a warning in advance. And that they told all the Jews and they left, so they weren't there when that thing.
They didn't left. They slept.
They slept. But first of all, that company she was talking about wasn't in New York. She made it sound like it was in New York. It was in Israel. Okay.
Oh.
And second
then
of all,
they needed a big heads up to get back there.
Second of all, they didn't get a heads up. They got a piece of. It was a hate mail that was like, we're basically something like, we're going to do blah, blah, blah.
We're going to do 9/11
or whatever. No, but it wasn't specific to the World Trade Center or anything. And it came in like an hour and 45 minutes before the attacks, but they turned it over because they were like, we got this hate mail before the attacks. So she made it sound like a Jewish company in New York was given advance warning and Jews therefore left. It wasn't in New York. Second, they weren't given advance warning. Third, how are they supposed to know what this hate mail like? You could probably get hate mail all the time. Do you call the FBI and go, I got a piece of hate mail, alert the World Trade Center? Like, she was like, they didn't do anything with this info. Well, it didn't mention anything.
Right. I keep a stack of hate mail here at the studio, and I go through it when I feel like I'm getting too good at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get hate mail. I'm like,
keeps
I'm not
you
like,
humble. There's got to be some constructive criticism in here. Nope.
What's the funniest hate mail you ever got?
Oh my God! Whatever's at the top of the inbox. Actually, Frank is with the baby, but he had something. Someone sent me like a long, like many paragraphs, and you could tell this person doesn't know me, doesn't watch anything I do. It was like this person's like just mad at women, and like saying things that sound like, oh, you're a feminist, this and that. I'm like, you don't have a clue like
who I am.
You just needed to email somebody. You just needed to vent. This could have been a draft that you saved. I'll have to find it. God, there's been so much. There's people just, like all kinds of threats. when I was pregnant, there was a lot. Like,
Oh,
I
I
hope your
remember.
baby's retarded. You know, I'm like, don't worry. They'll, you know, I'm half his genetics. So,
Well, don't forget
worry.
you had an entire country, Malaysia, want to take you down.
Malaysia, of course. Yeah, they were. I think I'm not allowed in that country. But I was never gonna go there. That's not even like in my top 100 places I would go.
Well, I hope they clip you going Malaysia.
Malaysia, like that's even a real place.
Yeah, well, oh, did we go offline?
No,
Oh, okay.
we can just see the tabs. We can see everything Filthy's looking up.
Oh,
Don't go into my search
this is,
history.
you got a producer here. I love it.
I'm actually like, you know what I'm not nervous about is people going into my search history, because my search history is just like jokes, like me trying to figure out, like I'm asking strange questions. Oh shit, God, I can't. First of all, I can't even see this to read it. But Fealty, if you want to read like a choice paragraph,
Is this a piece of hate mail?
this is a hate mail. This is from
is
this
a
week.
book.
This is,
Okay.
yeah,
This is a
it's
book.
really long.
I'll do the first paragraph. then.
Okay.
You aren't a real woman, so don't put on this facade by acting like a moral police. If you were a sincere woman, you wouldn't sleep around with random people while also aborting babies.
What? I'm married. I've been with Rick like over 10 years. I'm a mom. I'm like, what are you talking? Who is this for?
Also, you're pretty vocally opposed to abortion.
Yes.
Now, like I heard your stance on that, Shane. What is this?
I don't know. Continue, please, Fealty.
You pick and choose when to complain about oppression because you think you're entitled to special privileges as a female.
I love the voice, by the way. This is, I imagine this is how this person sounds.
The majority of females act righteous because they pretend to regret their dirty choices and want a good man to take care of their kids from previous relationships.
This is a man writing this.
This is a man writing this, yeah.
You and the majority of women lie.
You have to do the voice.
You can't
Keri.
do it. Oh, you have to
he
do it
says-
like someone at the
He
Ren
says,
Fair.
You and the majority of women lie about being virgins to your future husbands because you know it's shameful and no real man will settle for a whore.
I mean, this guy's got pros.
You-
I'll give him that.
And the majority of women are ugly and hideous, smell and look like rats, snakes, raccoons, dogs, monkeys, whales, and are overweight. You and the majority of women. Is that what he titled this hate mail? You and the majority of women?
You.
You and the majority of women abort babies and kill more babies than war criminals. You and the majority of women sleep around with those who kill innocent people, animals, and children. You and the majority of women act like whores even during funerals.
Horse.
Nobody likes a funeral whore. I mean, I agree with him there. You're supposed to honor the dead, not be passing out your number.
You and the majority of women worship the devil. You and the majority of women think you are above reproach and critique. You and the majority of women are pedophiles, rapists, sex traffickers, drug dealers, and the worst of criminals.
Imagine you're this guy who he basically, it sounds like he got triggered by an attractive woman at a funeral, and like this whole thing was inspired by.
Yeah.
I think he just has a crush on you.
He can't have a crush on me. He doesn't know a thing about me based on anything he's written.
This is just...
He's negging you.
One long neg. This is like 10 paragraphs of neg.
Anyway,
Okay.
will you and the majority of women go out with me?
Yeah. I hate to put you all, sweeping generalizations aren't really my thing, but
I think we have to read through all of this guy.
this will take an
It's
hour.
gonna take an hour. This is the longest hate mail I've ever seen.
just-
But we're
goes-
just getting up to the STD part, though.
Oh, boy.
He says that you and the majority of women deserve to be raped and burned
Oh, God.
and stabbed and beaten and humiliated and attacked with acid, chemicals, and the most dangerous of weapons.
I mean, I think acid is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, what? You can't get worse than acid.
Gosh.
Like,
Yeah.
what is the most dangerous of weapons to him after, like, acid, beaten, burned?
Forgiveness? That's a
A date with him on Friday night,
Oi.
Chrissy.
I'm sorry you get this crap. That's
Well, I want to know
hateful.
people who dislike me. When you send me hate mail, just also tell me what like inspired it. Like if it was a tweet, please attach the tweet. If it was a joke on stage, like I want to know like what inspired this.
Like where'd it come from?
Yeah.
Well, the last line says, real women aren't like you are.
FAGGOTS, like you.
You'll never be a real woman because you aren't heterosexual.
What?
That's his closing line for the date he wants to take you on.
Where's I don't even know. I can't even think of a joke like that I've said that.
This is a book.
Like I think there's a joke. I don't even say it on stage much anymore. I talk about like how things have changed over the years. And like I go, well, when I was young, we didn't call it bisexual. We just called it being fun at parties, you know. But yeah, I have no idea. What, that guy's mentally ill. It's fun. It's definitely fun to be me sometimes. Yeah, very verbose haters.
So are you going to go out on a date with him or no, though?
I don't think so.
Because you're gay.
It's just one paragraph to like, yes, because I'm a gay woman, apparently, with an STD.
FAGGOT.
Yeah. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Oh, well.
Well, I have never gotten one that long. That beats mine. So there you go.
What's been your, can you think of anything off the top of your head? Like,
I mean,
most
I get,
creative insult.
I get a lot of people who, I mean, they're just, I think people are really will go for the easiest, laziest thing sometimes. So whatever your appearance is, right? They'll, but so for me, because I do like to wear hats, or
Hat girl.
they'll make fun of my hat, and it's like, okay, I'm in kindergarten. Okay, fine, I don't care. but what, the meanest was I had someone who was like, oh, I had someone who pretended to be in my house.
What?
And was like, yeah, and was messaging me stuff about I'm in your house right now.
Come in your closet.
Stuff.
You really got to reorganize this. This is
and
incredibly
later,
untidy.
I can't remember if I messaged them this or if somebody told me I should have messaged them like, well, while you're here, can you do the dishes?
Look, I'm in the house. Yeah, I'm in the house. I'm messing with your thermostat. Your husband's going to be so pissed.
Like while you're here. No, people, there's just there's a lot of hatred out there. People who have it sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's true. They have a lot of anger, hatred of themselves, and they'll find people to put it on, and it spews out. And it's not just the woke left that does this. There's all kinds. This is a human thing, and even I have to stop myself from doing that. If I get mad at if I disagree vehemently with somebody's opinion, it doesn't mean that's like not a personal attack. The left views a difference of opinion as a personal attack.
Yes,
it's not.
And then they respond with a personal attack.
Like it's a personal attack, yeah. And it's like, you disagree. We disagree on policy. Okay, that's fine. That's different from saying, well, you're an evil person because. Like you for Trump, for example. Yeah. People say, oh, you must be a bad person. And that's just... Well,
it's easier to lump all your not haters, but it's easier to lump people differently than you because, God, what's the alternative? Like being discerning and using nuance and taking people one-on-one and thinking, gosh, maybe there are some things that I would agree with that Trump's doing, but that's hard and that takes a lot more time.
Also, you might get rejected.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is like a lot of people are just hateful and stuff because they want to reject you before you can reject them or whatever.
Yeah. And also, especially on the left, like if you're to consider Trump on any level, it means kind of like the end of probably many of your friendships. Like in Hollywood, like I was talking to last night, Keri from The Runaways.
Oh yeah.
Cherry bomb. I was like, had to hold back not asking her anything about like that part of her life because she's, you know what I mean? Like written books, talked about it like at length. And so I was trying to like not.
Doesn't she make chainsaw bears now?
Yes. Yes, she's a chainsaw artist. And I was like, that's cool. Tell me about that. Like what kind of blades are you
Rockstar chainsaw bear aficionado.
It's so neat. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can get her to commission something.
I told my husband one day we're going to have a pair of chainsaw bears that I saw these in Montana, and it says an old bear lives here with his honey.
Oh.
I'm like, we gotta have.
I think that's called white pride. I think that's expressing your white pride.
Is this a white person thing?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Any kind of. I'm really like getting into like the woodsy aesthetic, like moose, bears, like buffalo plaid, like a lot of wood.
Yes.
Like basically like any content house. I think that's what inspired like the aesthetic, like the
ski lodge.
Yes, the aesthetic in the baby's room is kind of like that. I have like a fuzzy like a plush deer head hanging on the wall.
I love it.
Yeah.
I thought it was from your plantation era.
No. We talked about in a previous episode how I would be a cool slave owner, like I would be hilarious, and I'd give them the fire stick. I would be like,
You'd be the
Master
favorite.
Chrissie,
I would be the favorite. Like I would let them, like eat candy or stay up late, whatever they wanted to do.
We gets the ice creams.
I'm confusing it like as a cool, like for a cool babysitter. You guys can watch movies. Whatever. I don't know.
We works in the yards and we get some TVs tabs.
Oh, hey, as long as you pick all your cotton and I don't know, what else did they do? Churn butter. What did slaves do?
Well, I can
What
tell you.
didn't they do?
Can I tell you a story about my husband's first cancellation?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
And
technically,
he's here, so he can yell and correct
can
you
yell if I get it
something
wrong. So my husband, we're in New York because he had a show. Anthony Garcia music. You got to put the music in there because if you don't, there's a serial killer with his name that will come up.
Wow.
But
you didn't think of having a stage name? You're like,
but we were in, so every year he gets to travel, very blessed. He gets to go to Europe with his band. And this past year, there was the last show in Switzerland. It was a great show. And he did guitar lessons during the day. It was like an art center. And then they did a show, standing ovation. People loved it. And then at the end, the guy who runs the venue was like, they were talking about maybe booking another show for next year. And he's like, well, I've got to ask you something first. And then he basically, I wasn't there, but my husband told me, I was waiting downstairs and the violinist and I were like wondering why this is taking so long, because he harangued him for 30 minutes. He was like, did your wife vote for Trump?
no. Where did this come from?
Well, so it's like an art center, and over lunch before the show, there's all these people from all over the world, and we're talking, and I was talking to this one cool guy. He's this Spanish guy, but he lives in Switzerland, and he had said something about Trump. Now, this is right before the election. We were there right before the election, but we had pre-voted, right? And this guy said something about Trump is, an extremist, and I was like, is he though? And so we started talking, and I was like, well, I said, you'll be surprised, because I think the elections, you're going to find there's a lot of liberals voting for him, old school, like classical liberals. And look, he's got Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Elon Musk, like all these more classical liberal types who are voting for him. And so, we had a good conversation. We only talked about Trump for like a second. Then we were talking about the government in Switzerland. He was telling me how they run things there, their system of government, and they don't have a president. They have like a council of 7, and then each one gets to play the president for a time or something. He was sort of saying this is how we do it. And he was talking about Spain. And so we had this long conversation, very interesting. But the guy who runs the place, I guess his wife overheard the part about Trump. And so anyway, he harangued my husband for half an hour about like they do sometimes where they don't let you get a word in edgewise, but they'll ask you, they'll say, he just starts assuming things. And he's like, do you not believe in climate change? Do you not believe in this?
No.
Do you not believe
That's an easy one. Next.
And, my Anthony was trying to answer and be like, well, but he couldn't say anything because the guy just keeps haranguing him.
Wow.
And then it was kind of sad because he was shaking and he was like really like, very hysterical and he lives in Switzerland.
He lives in a bubble, clearly.
Yeah, but he's at the end of it, he was begging my husband. He was like, don't, please, whatever you do, don't vote for Trump.
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
And he goes, for the sake of my family.
Oh, a poor guy that he really thinks it's like.
Yes. that he really thinks somehow his family in Switzerland.
That's what the media does. Makes you think like it's life or death.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then, we got home and I was like, maybe you should send that guy a postcard that says "R.I.P. your family." After Trump
I'm
won.
so sorry. Trump
I'm
won.
sorry, that's a dark joke. I made a dark, but seriously, I would have.
Hope your family's doing well.
Hope your family's doing okay. But I mean, no, but I don't mean to make light of his hysteria. He was truly, it sounds like very honestly scared. And do you know people like that? There's people like that in the States too who were honestly scared, like when Trump won.
It's propaganda. It's like the TDS is so strong, and I think people, they maybe unconsciously just create bubbles. Like they don't have anybody around them challenging their thoughts and feelings on things or their information.
No, I had people asking me, because we were making jokes after Trump won online. Everybody was making jokes about how, like, Project 2025.
Yeah, here we go.
Right? And I had a friend write to me on Facebook, and she was like, very concerned, like, is it really happening? And my child thinks it's happening. And I was like,
your child should not know about politics.
Yeah, but like what they really, it's at a point where they can't discern comedy even, or they can't tell what's a joke and what's not, because they've been made hysterical by the media.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy in Switzerland was very, very upset. So
that's so
was
sad.
that worse? Because you also went to Germany, though. Was it like that in Germany as well?
Well, I think our experience in Germany was a lot different just because of the people we know there already. Like a lot of our friends there, they didn't understand, but they were open-minded. Like they wanted to know. They were asking questions, like trying to understand, and they let us. They let my husband talk. Like they had a back and forth. It wasn't let me just yell at you for 30 minutes until I run out of steam about why Trump is evil. Like they actually had questions and were trying to get it. So that was, I mean, that's a blessing. But that may just be because of the people we know there.
Well, Anthony, don't you speak German though?
Da.
Yeah, he does speak German, so it's easy.
Scheiße.
That's so cool. I'm not really around very many Europeans, thankfully, but on my return flight from, it was Indiana, God, because I had a layover and it was delayed. It was a lot. It was like a 15-hour travel day, but I flew back next to this guy from Denmark, and he was like, he kind of understood it, and I was explaining to him like how January 6th was like a huge psyop and all the feds, and it's interesting. I wonder if he'll go back and be like, I met someone who was inside, and then just explaining to him, and he understood a few things. He's like, yes, in America, you have a lot of talk about how you support your troops and you support your veterans, but like it's a lot of theater, because look at how the veterans are treated, and like the suicide rate, and like how much money actually goes to them versus how much we give to like Ukraine. And I was like, yeah, it's cool sometimes to hear an outsider's perspective, if I can tolerate it. No, it's sometimes cool to hear an outsider's perspective on like what the U.S. feels like to them, because usually, you have like some European. I'm just basing this all on like my day job years ago, because we'd go to these fancy events and like awards shows and shit, and it was just kind of cool to bash America and Americans, and like I got real tired of that. So maybe I do kind of stereotype them all, but like this guy actually was kind of smart and like nuanced in his thinking, and then of course I patted him on the back as he started blowing chunks on the descent, I gave him my plastic bag to throw up in.
Did you tell him Trump as you patted him on the back?
Yeah, I did. I said MAGA. I was like patting him on the back. Here's my water.
I will tell you, when we were in Germany, though, since you asked with the Europeans, I did wear like some funny Trump shirts like this, or I had like my MAGA hat in Germany and stuff, and nobody said. I had my little pen with the funny Trump hair, but nobody said anything mean. But I did get some looks. But I actually surprisingly had some young people, like there was that guy on the trail who's like, I like your hat. Like there were some people who were sort of covertly like, yay, Trump, that was cool to see. That's kind of why I like wearing stuff every once in a while, just to see how people react.
To test people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's it's just interesting. Plus, when I'm there, you know, when I was in the woke cult, there's all this anti-American, anti-patriotic sentiment that you kind of pick up when you're in the woke world. Like the woke, you know, it's all about making young people hate their country and everything.
Oh yes, tell the people if they're not familiar with your time. You were a talent manager for.
I worked in. So I worked in entertainment. I worked with comedians, and I managed comics, most of whom were in the woke world. Back then, we called it social justice, and then produced TV shows and comedy specials.
I was on the Social Justice Club in my college. Before they called
back
it
when
woke.
It was called social justice.
Back when it was kind of like well intentioned, you know.
Before I realized that this was a cult and it was actually anti everything it said it was. Like, it wasn't for liberalism. It was very illiberal. It's for censorship and authoritarianism and all that stuff. But I lost my train of thought. You asked me.
You were saying how this is all both of your faults because you were both in these liberal.
Oh, it's our fault.
Oh yeah, about what you did, like what you did for work before. You were managed comedians.
Yeah, well, I managed comedians. I worked with probably the one show people might know was Totally Biased. That was a show on FX with hosted by one of the comics I managed, W. Kamau Bell.
What does the W stand for? Did you ever find out?
It's Walter.
Oh, well, mystery solved.
And one of the other executive producers was Chris Rock, and we started off as a weekly show, then we became a nightly show, but it was a very woke show. Like, we were doing bits on, you know, whether, again, like all these language rules in the woke world, like I told you about, like whether or not male comics should be able to tell rape jokes, you know, is that like misogynistic or whatever?
Well, write what you know, they say.
But I believed in all that stuff. That's why I think, again, to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, you know, just when you start to see things that are eerily similar to, there are some things that are eerily similar to the woke left stuff, the slide that happened. And it's like, look, if I see this slide happening, like I'm going to say something about it rather than, even if it's unpopular and people are like, I don't like the phrase or I don't like this or whatever. I don't necessarily like the phrase woke right either, but I do see this uptick in people behaving like feminists, except instead of saying men are the root of all evil, they're like women are the root of all evil. And it's just so stupid and pedestrian. It keeps us all fighting constantly. Like people like Pearl, I didn't know what to make of her at first, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl's a menace. Like, she doesn't, again, like a snake oil salesman, she'll say some things that are very true, and then mixed in with it is this poison.
She is like the meme of the little girl with the house burning behind her going like,
yeah,
you know,
like, I'm destroying relationships between men and women, or, you know, making it seem like that biblical marriage is not possible or not something worth pursuing, or you know, that there are no good women or that there are no good men. Both of these things are false.
It's easy to feel that way when you have never had a good relationship.
Yes,
though
it is easy,
because that's how I was in my 20s. I just thought like, oh no, the marriage is not for me, kids is not for me. Like, why would I build any of that? Because I wasn't good at picking men.
Yeah, isn't that funny when you start to grow up a little and you're like, wait, maybe my picker's a little wrong. Or some people pick poorly on purpose because they are afraid of all of that stuff. Maybe they think they'll be a failure at marriage, you know, motherhood, fatherhood, whatever. Or having to be like real also and take responsibility for the things you get wrong. Like, it's so juvenile today. I think a lot of people are just sort of like, you know, I've never made any mistakes and my partner makes all of them, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, that clip. I wanted to talk about the Bill Burr clip, but there was this clip. I wonder if we can find it. Shoot. Fealty, if you search on Twitter, there's a clip that was going around. Candace Horbox tweeted it out. This woman, she was complaining about her husband. She was about how she almost divorced him a few years ago. And she's burnt out from her day job.
I saw it.
Or whatever. And it's been interesting to see the comments on this because she's talking about equitable division of housework. And as soon as she said the word equitable, I like cringed.
I have a lot to say about this clip. Can we play it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just waiting. I'm just killing time while Filthy pulls it up because I don't know if I'm giving you the right descriptors to find it. But it's this woman. She's in a kitchen and she's talking about how she almost divorced her husband. If you search like equitable division of housework, it'll come up. If you search she almost got divorced. If you go on to maybe Candace Horbach's thread, it should definitely be there. Yeah. I see it. I see this woman. It's like a gray, whitish background.
That video, yeah.
Yeah, just go on to Candace's feed there. That's it. That's the one.
Wait, I've got to
This is a 5-minute video. Heh. Oh, we had to put our headphones on. La 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 la.
Check.
We will now be listening to a clip.
Bung,
Can you hear yourself?
I can hear it.
Okay.
I've been with my husband for almost
Can you hear
2
that?
years, but
All right,
about
make
4
it
years
big.
ago, I was strongly considering
But can you hear it?
divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
Can you pause it for a second?
Pause it.
Okay, one quick thing before you even get into her annoying.
You don't want to wear the headphones on your head? Oh, right, your
no,
hat.
My hat takes precedence. So it's the way that she talks. I feel like they send leftist women to some school to teach them how to speak with this annoying cadence. As if she's some teacher.
She sounds like a teacher.
And-
she sounds like a girl boss.
And you know she talks to her husband like this. Okay, go ahead.
I don't talk to anyone like this.
I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present.
What else could you
on
want?
paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women.
What?
I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of
No,
us,
pause it. It's not her marriage and it's not motherhood. The vast majority of women are like natural nurturers and natural that encompasses sort of like, I think here I am gonna go sounding like I'm stereotyping all women. It's not her marriage and it's not the kids that's burning her out. It is her day job as well. I think feminism really screwed us over in so many respects. It's the fact that she has to pick up. She's resentful of her husband because she has to pick up and do all of the housework after working her 40-hour-a-week job. She's already given the best hours of her day, her week to her boss. So it's gone. And of course she's spent after that. She doesn't have, it feels like she has nothing left in the tank. But you can't be mad at your boss, right? Because you went to school, you have your degree, you wanted this job, you pursued this job, you interviewed for this job, you logged in years, maybe you worked your way up the corporate ladder, you got, not like I ever got a promotion, but people do get promotions, I've heard. So you're not gonna, because if you resent your career, then you got to dial that back all the way till your college years, right? Like I've spent how much time pursuing this? But I realized this very much because I was like, my last day job, it was in entertainment, and my boss, like I was an executive assistant for my boss, which is basically like a work wife position. I was like visiting him in the hospital. He like gave me a bedpan to dump out. I was like giving him his mail when he was in the hospital for 6 weeks. I was like, doing shit like buying his wife presents, like you literally are a work wife. And I got resentful because I'm like, this, like, in a sense, like, wouldn't it be great if I could just be like, I don't know, doing this for the person I love? Or when people come to the idea, like, imagine if you did OnlyFans, but just for one man, like that's called marriage. But so her day job is burning her out. And then people are saying, oh, she's an influencer. But I think she does speak for a lot of women because, and I know friends of mine, they're totally burnt out from working. And then so of course they're going to resent their husbands when they come home and not all the housework is done. But women, like, we're different. We can see shit. We can see when shit is clean and when shit is dirty. Like, and I know this just from just talking to my own husband. It's just different. Like, and like, look, if you want a super tidy husband, guess what? that person's going to be gay, you know? It's going to be pretty tough. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are some straight dudes who are tidy.
You only need to vacuum once a month.
Oh, don't get me started, Fealty. But so you come home, there's all this work to be done, food to be cooked, kids to be dealt with. And then unfortunately, you're going to point all that resentment at your husband instead of rethinking like, gosh, could I leave my job? Could we pare down our expenses?
The one thing that was never on the table here, somebody else mentioned this. I forget who, but I saw it. And she never in this video. So she says, my husband is perfect on paper. And then she lists all these ways he's perfect. And yet I considered divorcing him rather than give up my day job.
It never crossed her mind.
Never crossed her mind. But she was considering divorcing this according to her like, perfect man.
I'm doing all this on my own. Why don't I just get divorced? What's the point of doing this with somebody?
Yeah.
And when I'm doing everything, and it's like, girl, like how selfish. Like I get it. You feel like you're drowning in work, but how selfish to deprive your kids of their father because he didn't take the cleans out of the dishwasher. Right, he can't read your mind.
She gets annoyed because she wants it done a certain way and a certain. And
I want to be able to find my kid's favorite water bottle instead of searching for it.
I don't want to have to look for it in the clean dishes in the dishwasher. I want it to be on the shelf where it's like, oh my God, lady, you have no grace for your husband whatsoever. And
he's not a mind reader.
Yeah, he's not. And there's more. I mean, I've lately been thinking a lot about, I got some ladies mad at me too, because it was sort of, have you seen those memes that say, think of all the propaganda that was required to convince women to give up a family, to go into a cubicle. And a good meme is funny and also shed some light on a truth. Maybe it's not the entire truth, but a partial truth or something that makes you think about something in a different way. I like those memes because that meme makes you think about what is it that you're trading. And you and I'm a little older than you, but when I grew up, like, I feel like we were the first wave, the tail end of Gen X, which is what I am. We were the first wave of girls who got hit with all this propaganda about being a career woman.
For me, it was Sex and the City. That was my first introduction to like, wow, how glamorous, how fun. Like,
yes.
And you compare it because when you're young, like, well, I don't know how old I was watching Sex and the City, high school years, I guess. You don't know any, but I grew up in New York. I don't know any married girls. And I compared it to my own family, my parents who are super resentful of one another, who don't have a good relationship. And I go, yeah, why would I want to get married and have kids? Yeah. Look at my parents.
Yes.
So it's easy to like watch Sex and the City, go to college, become a feminist. And you're just like, oh, wow, I can crush it on my own. I can make money and take care of myself. And it also you safeguard yourself from heartbreak too that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, but what's all the stuff that you trade? And, there was a lot of propaganda when I was growing up about, so I got pulled into the woke leftist world in college, and I got pulled in through the women's studies door. Like, there's different doors into woke. Oh my God,
same.
And the feminist door is the one I went through, but there's the race door, there's the fat door, and etc. There's all different doors.
The fat door?
Yeah.
That's Carlin's door.
Oh, God.
It's actually, they had to.
Don't say.
It's really just the Kool-Aid man burst through. It's a hole in the wall that you just walk through.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I went through the women's studies door. And I did live in the women's studies dorm, by the way.
They had a whole dorm?
We had a whole dormitory. But when you go in through that door, like, there's a lot of propaganda that is built around calling people breeders if they knuckle sort of poo-pooing the idea of
like you're some Neanderthal, like you're just a knuckle dragging like amoeba, like you're the most basic form of human. Oh, like you're not evolved, just wasting the best years of your life in an office working for someone who hates you.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a lot of propaganda that goes into convincing women that that's more attractive, is to have that, to be in the cubicle and to have this sort of status or whatever. And
it works because it gets you through till just about when that wears off is like your mid-30s, maybe your 40s. It takes you just long enough to wake up and before maybe it's too late even, or maybe, or long enough that you've picked the wrong person, it's pretty diabolical.
Well, I had some women get upset that I shared that meme, and they were like, there were a couple women who were like, I am not married and I don't have kids and I never want to, and I'm happy with my cubicle life and I love being a working woman and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great. I'm not here to tell you you did the wrong thing at all. But look at all the other women in the comments who this hits them hard. Like it hit me hard because we do have some regrets. We have learned some things that we maybe, if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, where is this coming from? This sort of denigration of a traditional family and being a mom and having kids. Like, really think about that sort of influence and the messages that you're receiving in feminism and stuff, And so I don't know. I've been thinking about a lot of that stuff lately. Like, what would I say? And look, I was at the beginning of it. Now, young girls today, I think they're being pushed an even harder version of that because they get all the T-shirts and stuff too that say like, the future's feminine, and
and now
like,
it's not only that, but break up with your boyfriend, husband over if they like Trump, which was not the case when we were younger. It was definitely like girl boss propaganda, but it wasn't like end your relationship with like family, boyfriends, because of who they voted for.
Or like in the case of this woman, because he loaded the dishwasher wrong, going to get a divorce, even though he's a perfect husband.
Should we watch more of that clip?
She's so terrible.
Where's the part where she... Okay, yeah, play it.
That we marry these amazing men, and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home.
It's because we notice it, though. It's because... with the home stuff, I think it's because we just see, we see it. Because men don't see, like, they just don't see stuff. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. They just, they have other priorities, like being a breadwinner or
fixing the car.
Let me tell you, he might not notice the dishwasher, but if somebody is breaking into your house, he's going to fucking know what to do.
Yes. Or, women on average, we gravitate more towards taking care of people, taking care of animals, like these sort of, and men gravitate more towards fixing things, and this is on average again. And so of course, he's probably she might be ignoring the car. He's been making a weird noise for a while, and then as soon as her husband drives it, your turbojet is loose. Right.
We got to take that in.
My husband's the one that tells me everything, like, hey, it's time to change the tires on the truck, or like I would be lost on all that stuff.
Time for an oil change. Whoop, no.
but
there's so much talk in the feminism spaces of this, like they call being a mother and making a home as unpaid labor, which is like how disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like, if you could rewind it, you're at the altar marrying your spouse. Are you ready to do a lot of unpaid labor till death do you part?
Right. Unpaid. The other thing is that women, I think a lot of things changed if you think about the way that families used to, because women have always worked, but they used to work like in the home or in the family business, or there would be a lot of like your family. Let's say your family makes maybe you're sheep farmers, or you make butter or whatever, or you're making sweaters, but there's like a family agrarian kind of business, and the woman's involved in that and also working in the home, and then as you got out of that into the factories, as you mentioned, everything sort of changed, and then all of this propaganda, I think, about women entering the workforce like ramped up, and when I talk to women who are like deeply feminist and who get offended by this, they're like, well, some women, again, like they say, some of us enjoy working. And I'm like, no, more power to you. That's great. It's just, why did we have to swing so far in the other direction where little girls are growing up and it's not even a question that they might want to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of their own kids. Well, they make it
sound like to be a stay-at-home mom, you're not using your brain. Like you're just some moron in an apron, floating around the house. And they've done a really good job, like, go to college, be an office slave. That's if you're a really smart person, that's like that you're better if you do that. If you just procreate, you're a breeder. You're just like, you're being I don't know, grabbing the low hanging fruit or something. They've really shamed it.
Yeah.
But then look at Ballerina Farm. She does it all.
Is that fake Instagram?
She's just she has a huge Instagram. She married into I think she was a Juilliard ballerina, gave that up to join, like she married some guy, ton of money, like, but now she's like, she churns butter. She's just effortlessly gorgeous. She's like 8 kids. I watched her give birth in a bathtub.
What?
I was like, I want to do that.
They invited you there?
No, I know. I mean, I watched it on Instagram. That's just a clip or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna give birth in a blow up pool. And but it was like her 8th, which you can do on your 8th. You can't do that on your 1st, because the first baby does, it's like the Kool-Aid man. It bursts through and it makes way for the other ones to just slide out.
The Kool-Aid man.
Why did I bring her up? I don't know. That clip is 5 minutes long.
Yeah,
but she is. Do we want to keep breaking that down? Is that interesting?
I don't know. She's just annoying. It's hard to listen to her. You can finish. You can play more if you want. But isn't her voice just terrible? Wait till you hear her say equitable.
Scroll it along. I want to maybe. Can you scroll it along and I'll see what she's talking about?
And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 more. I need you to do more.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I
need her to do more. I'm doing everything.
Every day, when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me
what's in their bag. Yeah, and I'm the project manager of this house. It's a condescending tone in which she talks about her husband, like he's this dullard. And people, I guess, have researched her. Apparently, her husband is a lineman and works insane amount of hours every week, and she, I guess, is just a social media influencer type.
Social media stuff, yeah, and
she does not make it sound like that's what she does. She makes it sound like she is like a human resources executive or a teacher, or has a serious full-time gig, and even the husband, you can see by what she's saying, he's like, just tell me what I can do to help, and then he forgets a couple times, and she's like, that's it.
And she also gets mad when he says, tell me what you want me to do, and she gets mad,
like he doesn't read.
Already know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, lady, he's asking you, tell me what to do, and you're getting mad about that.
Can't you see what I need? It's like, no, he's thinking about his world and his job, and not a mind reader. Yeah, that's the worst thing a woman can do, is take personally when your guy is not a mind reader.
Also, by the way, she says she's almost divorced him because he left the clean dishes in the dishwasher or whatever. Okay, then she makes this 5-minute video shitting all over her husband and puts it online. Is that not divorce worthy? I mean, I see so much of this stuff in the age of TikTok where people go and criticize their spouse you don't criticize your spouse online.
Oof.
And you don't mock them, and you don't emasculate them like the way she's doing.
She's if she felt like she wasn't seen. Oh, and now what he didn't do, now I'm late for he didn't do the thing because he was going to be late for work. Well, now I'm late for work. Let's talk about who makes more in this family. I don't know. Again, she's resentful. If you're talking like this and sounding like this, you're working too many hours, I think. I don't know. All I know is I became so much happier in my relationship when I started doing the things that I was upset that my husband wasn't doing. Do you know what I mean? For a couple of years, I'd be like, oh, he's just not tidy. He just doesn't pick up. And then I just started to pick up more. And I was like, well, that's easier than just worrying about, you know what I mean? I can pick up a room in 15 minutes, or I could not do it and then be upset about it all day.
Yeah.
So, and then you get married and it's like, it's low key your job to pick up. So, and then it's all good.
And also, she calls her husband her partner. I'm like, oh, I have a partner.
She said it took 18 months. Like she had to train him. It took us 18 months, and now our house runs like a well-oiled machine.
Well, it's interesting. She says here, because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy, but immediately following that, and says, and was willing and able to change. So it's basically like, you love me if you'll be exactly what I want. If you're not exactly what I want and like not your own person, that's
like
what love
he
is.
has to change, not her.
Yeah.
Not her expectations and demands.
Right.
But him. He loves her exactly as she is, but she doesn't love him exactly how he is. He has to change. He has to go to whatever this therapy is she made him do.
Right. Maybe the housework doesn't have to be 100% done. Maybe it could be 70% done and you all could be happier.
Look at that. If you do not participate in an equitable way in your home.
Again, this is feminism's fault.
This is feminism's fault.
She's working 40 plus hours. You need hours to pick up and clean a house. That's like, if you're commuting too, and plus making everybody's food, it's like, and then here, and I understand because she's like, well, my man he would work and then have time for hobbies. Whereas like someone in her position, you don't have time for hobbies or anything. You work your whole job and you come home and you do all the house stuff. So there's resentment there so it's like, well, you need to build in that time for yourself then. If it's gym, if it's getting your nails done, you need to build that in like it's a doctor's appointment and like don't give that up for yourself, because when you start giving up that time that you set aside for yourself, that's when you get resentful, and your partner or husband, whatever, they can't tell that's
besides
where you're getting.
She's got a hobby too. She's got her little job.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Her little job.
That was a joke.
Little job.
I'm sorry, ladies. I was joking.
Boy.
I like how it finishes on, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
Like you can change your husband.
Well, by becoming single. That's what they want.
Well, that's what she was thinking. She was like, if I'm doing all this work, I might as well just be single, which is horrible. It's like, you'd rather be a single mom than reassess the chore situation. I don't know.
And she was saying earlier about how it's about like the life schedule. Like she was saying earlier here about men have more time for things like golf, and women, she said they do more stuff around the house. And like, no, like, oh, there was like an experiment done or anything. It was just, no, they just do. This is the assumption. So he now needs to do more in the house. But like people are saying, he's the one bringing in the money. So is she home all day?
Yeah, I want to know like actually what he makes, what she makes, and yeah, unfortunately, it comes down to that.
So,
because if she's making more than him and feels like she has to do more of the housework, then I understand her frustration. But then again, it's. I think.
But then again, there was never on the table. That's what I mean about all these built-in assumptions with women who went through third wave feminism or whatever. There's all these assumptions, but one of those assumptions is that your career as the woman is never going to be put up on the sacrifice. So you're never going to put that up on the block. But you will get she would get a divorce before she would consider
giving up her job.
And
or going part-time.
Right.
That is insane that's never a thought.
Yeah. But it's also hard now, because if you think when women entered the workforce en masse, then, you've got double the workforce. And so wages come down, of course, because now you've got double the workforce. And so now it is harder. I hear this from people all the time too. It is harder to have, especially people with kids. They're telling me, it's hard to just raise a family on one income these days. And so I think the people I know who do, like, they work hard to figure it out so they can do it. Like, they have to figure it out because it's not the way it used to be, where it was, easy to live on one income, like in the 50s or whatever. Now it's sort of okay.
Yeah, people are not being paid enough. Everything's jacked up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Biden.
Thanks, Biden.
Thanks, Biden. We got a couple more super chats. I want to address those before we sashay into a different topic. I can't read these.
We got
read them,
$5 from Push-Ups 2345. He says, "Hey Keri, let's grab some drinks over the weekend. Haven't seen you since Dallas. Maybe we can even bring fealty." I didn't see that part.
Hey,
I wouldn't have done that voice.
That sounds like a date proposition.
Wait, a day for who? Because he's asking to bring
Push-ups
me.
since Dallas. Oh, well, my husband and I are sober, but I will drink a coffee. I've probably had 5 today. I go overboard with the coffee drinks now. That's my thing.
Coffee's the best.
Then we got Spectral Citizen for 10 going towards the goal of 10 super chats of exactly $10 means Keri takes over Chrissie's Twitter for 5 minutes.
Are we there yet? Are we close?
We have 1, 2, 3, I think 4. No, we're at 5 out of 10.
Okay.
It has to be exactly $10 on the super chat. But Spectral Citizen for 10 says, Keri takes over Chrissie's Twitter.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Then we got a Poetry Painter for 10, putting towards the goal. X Takeover, I'm in.
Poetry.
And then Haas Bonaventure, CEO, he's the leader of the company, for $5 says, Keri is a coward that will strawman Nick, but never debate or converse with him. Everybody's so cowardly. Nick is right about
Nick who?
Probably Rakaida.
Rakaida?
How did I strawman him?
Or Fuentes?
I don't know. Oh, maybe Fuentes.
Fuentes?
I don't know. There's too many Nicks that do bad things.
I'm like, first
Please
of all,
specify,
Chatter. Nick who? Second of all, if it's Fuentes, like, I don't have anything to talk about with that degenerate. Like, I'm
You
not
gotta debate.
No, I don't have to. That's so funny. That's like you saying, you better debate with Robin DeAngelo, or I don't have anything to say to her. There are certain people that I don't have.
How will we know who's right unless you debate?
I think you can watch his videos on your own and come to your own conclusion. I'm happy with you doing that.
People enjoy blood sports, though.
Yeah, other people can do that. They can be on camera with him. I don't want to be on camera with him at all.
Doesn't sound fun.
If he ever became, there's a certain level at which if a degenerate clown stays in degenerate clown territory, I don't think that they need to be. You need to have, these head-on debates that people do. If they rise out of that and they start to take on all of culture and change culture the way that the woke left has, then I think for people who enjoy debating, there are benefits to that. Like when Jordan Peterson debated Michael Eric Dyson, that clown. It was necessary for someone like Jordan Peterson to debate him, I think.
The vacuum guy?
No. Michael Eric Dyson... He's that
heir to the Dyson throne.
No, he's that woke, black leftist professor who he speaks like a preacher, and he speaks with gravitas.
Yeah,
and he just says the dumbest things. But he had reached a level where people had put a lot of respect in him, and so it is necessary for someone to show him out for the clown he is at that point, I think. But that should also be left to people who enjoy debating, and I don't even debate.
I don't enjoy
people
debating.
that I do respect. I will have a discussion with them. Yeah.
Well, they want to master it,
Some people like debate. I like to watch that guy. Gosh, what's that guy? Paleo Christian. I don't agree with some of the stuff he says.
What the heck's his name? Andrew.
Andrew. Yes. But
they always have him on the whatever podcast.
Yes, that guy. But I really I've actually learned a lot about debating just by watching him. I think he's really great at it. And Andrew Wilson, that's his name.
Okay.
And someone like that, like they enjoy it.
From Wilson Phillips.
I just think you got all the wrong connections. The wrong references.
Open your heart.
What did we say earlier about the moon landing? They didn't make it.
It didn't happen?
No, that they didn't make it through the Van Halen belt.
Oh, yes, you can't. No one can go through the Van Halen belt. It's never been done. It's just facts, people.
Well, they can't drive 55.
Chrissie has a new intern, and he's young, and he's never listened to Van Halen. Is that true?
Oh, my goodness. We're going to have to play it at the beginning of every...
Van Halen.
Intern.
All right, so the next super chat we got from K-Max MacDonald. Can a white identity ever be positive and loud? I see all other races take pride, and it's not called hatred or criminal. Communities do form based on race, religion, and language, but race is a part.
White.
Hard not to respond to all hatred towards us.
No, but we already read that one. But let me tell you something real quick.
I liked that he read it in that voice. Though.
White.
Oh, white.
I do like, I have all these moments. Can I tell you a funny anecdote real quick?
Yes, please.
So,
I'm having a hot flash. It's hot in here.
I get to travel a lot with my husband for music, and I have all these funny moments that they're not for like the camera or anything, but my friend's like, you should have a camera, because I just enjoy making my husband laugh or I laugh. It's just a private laugh, right? And one of these is whenever I see woke stuff, I like to just ask people questions. And we were at this very woke bookstore in Bozeman, Montana, and they had all these woke stickers and pens, and they had one that said black is beautiful. And so I took it up the register with my book, and I was like, and it was this little white woke girl working behind the counter, and I was like, hey, do you have this sticker but that says like white is beautiful
or white is wonderful?
And white is wonderful. I was like, do you have this bit in white people? And she was like, no. And then I just like that moment of awkwardness because it's just funny to me. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just get this book then. And it makes we leave like cracking up afterwards because that girl's like thinking later, like, what was that?
Yeah, what's wrong with her?
Like, who would want to have a button that says white is beautiful? Yeah, well, why do you have one that says black is beautiful? It's so funny.
If you're ever in, I think it's LA, do Jesse Lee Peterson's show. He has like pro-white merch in his lobby. Yeah, he has a shirt. I think I bought like 3 of them. It said like July is White History Month. He has like a couple of things that are so funny. He's a character. He's a real funny guy. I don't know if he's trying to be funny, but he's interesting.
Oh, somebody in your chat says, "Oh, is it on back order?" I did the same. There's a woke bookstore in Georgetown, Texas, and they have a bunch of like really sort of anti-male things, and they have one that's like a character like drinking a cup of male tears. So I took that one up. I was like, "Hey, do you have this, but where it says female tears?" And they were like, "No." No. Why?
Oh my gosh, that's great. Let's see. Okay. Do we have time to talk about the Bill Burr thing? Where are we at, Field?
I think we're only at like an hour and 28. So if you want to do 2 hours, there's still time. But we still have just a few more super chats.
Oh yes, the super chats.
So Push-Ups said when people are ripe for a mass movement, they're usually ripe for any effective movement and not solely for one with a particular doctrine or program. And it's a quote by Eric Hoffer.
Wait, can you read it?
I don't know what you just said.
When people are okay, so I'm still.
Oh, okay. When people are ripe for a mass movement, they're usually ripe for any effective movement, not solely for one with a particular doctrine or program.
Yes, that means maybe that there's a lack. There's a Jesus-shaped hole.
They're looking to fit in and something that makes them feel special, maybe and seen. Mm-hmm. Like that woman was saying, I wasn't seen.
You didn't empty the dishwasher.
Okay, so we got Junior says Topo Chico is from Mexico.
So right.
There's that. But only white people drink it. Like, what is that fruit everyone eats?
Pomegranate?
No, it's with a G. Dragon. They put it on all like the wraps and stuff. It's like green. Guacamole.
Avocado. I'm eating a guacamole plant.
A guacamole.
Wow.
Only white people are eating that.
You don't
Actually,
is avocado guacamole?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I will say in our household, there's only one white person in our household. It's me, and I'm the only one that eats avocado.
See? There you go. Avocados from Mexico.
Wait, what is Anthony? Mexican?
Yeah.
What is Anthony Mexican?
I thought that you were Native American. Because you give off how did I describe him? I said you kind of look like
Lou Diamond Phillips,
like a cigar store Indian. Like you're kind of tall and stoic and wise looking. Everything I'm saying, I'm digging a bigger hole for myself. But
and he has a tear.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a compliment.
When you first saw him, he said, "How?"
I just think of that scene from Seinfeld where Kramer is like got the cigar store Indian.
Well, boy. In our household though, here's the other funny thing is he doesn't like avocados, which I'm like, how can you be a human and not like avocados? But I don't like bacon, and he thinks that's weirder. He thinks that's weirder.
How do you not like bacon? It's most perfect food.
No avocados.
Blah.
Avocados are the perfect food.
I disagree with both of you.
Bacon.
Chicken parm is the perfect food. But K-Max McDonald says for 10, where is Anthony Cumia? Is he woke right? Chrissie and Keri's view. How about Tucker Carlson? Is there a middle ground between George Bush types and the woke right?
I'm not sure. I mean, well, Anthony's going to be here April 11th, so we could ask him that when he's here.
I don't know enough about his views. I've only hung out with him a couple of times. I don't know. Tucker Carlson, I've had people telling me, I really don't want it to be true, but they're like, Keri, he is interviewing a lot of ethno-nationalists recently. He just had Isker on. What's his name? The guy.
Isker the Grouch, the guy who lives in the garbage can.
Isker the Grouch. Yes, exactly.
Scram!
And so, I mean, but I do want to go and listen to the interview first. So I don't have an opinion other than I think.
I would say, I don't know, someone in his position, he's just so free now. He can interview all kinds of like taboo types. And maybe it could just be like a curiosity.
And he is interviewing several of them. Yeah. So, I don't know. People I respect are like, he's promoting a lot. I mean, he did a huge sort of flattering piece with Andrew Tate.
Just because you interview someone, does that mean you're promoting them? I guess it depends how it goes.
It depends on what you do. Okay, let me give you an example, in my opinion. Benny Johnson. Okay, when he had Andrew Tate on, he wasn't just interviewing him. In fact, he didn't interview him about any of the pending charges, which are still pending. He just brought him on to kiss his ass and promote him to his conservative Christian audience. This admitted pornographer, unrepentant pornographer, and who's charged with child rape, who's charged with the trafficking of a minor.
How could he not know about all that?
He knows about all of it, and he had what's her name, Alina Habba, on, and she said she was fangirling out, like, I'm on your side, and like they were promoting and propping up this guy. I think that they were trying to smear Trump with him. Alina Habba kept saying, "You're just like Trump, my boss. You're just like." No, he's not. Why are you comparing Trump to this?
Could it be that he's just like charmed them somehow?
I think it's because they see him as having, well, on the one hand, some people kiss his ass because he's got power. They see him as having power.
Maybe they want his followers. Maybe they want his.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But then there are others who I wonder if they're purposefully paid to try and tarnish Trump or tie these degenerates like Tate to the Trump movement. That's what I wonder. Because it's like, why are you trying to associate him with Trump? And I don't know if you noticed, but her job got changed recently.
Really?
Trump kicked her on down out of, she got moved out. She's no longer counsel to the president.
Now she just refills the fridge. She's in charge of snacks, which I would love that job.
But,
wow,
anyway,
interesting.
We can talk about I Tate. That's another.
See, until somebody offers me to have a position like this, it's like it's hard to believe. Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm not somebody that I think would be offered money to promote a certain thing, because I just would like make it into a joke somehow.
Did you see when all those so-called conservative influencers started putting all the soda propaganda out there?
What?
All on the same day?
Soda propaganda?
Yes, big soda.
Big soda? Big soda is not going to be interested in me. I'm a big seltzer proponent.
Yeah, they did it because RFK was going to go after like the
but so
the
did
sugars and
so
soda.
did Bloomberg. Didn't we've been through this already.
So what they started putting out, these are so-called MAGA influencers, and then it was revealed that they all got paid to do it by this company called Influenceable, and it was paying them per tweet. And what they were tweeting was, because basically the Trump administration, RFK, they were talking about how, hey, guess what? If you're getting if you're getting taxpayer dollars for food stamps and stuff for EBT,
yeah, don't spend it on something that's going to make you ultimately lose a foot.
Right. It's called the Nutritional Assistance Program for a reason. So it should only be spent on nutritional food, and you shouldn't be able to spend it on like Ho-Hos and Twinkies and Diet Cokes.
Right. Like you shouldn't use your, like, I don't know, like welfare applies to health insurance, right? Or health services. Like you wouldn't use that on like implants, right? You should use that on checkups.
Use it on something that it's necessary. If you're taking from the pockets of the common man and the taxpayer to pay for something because it's considered you need assistance, you need nutritional assistance, then it should be for things that are
No
actually
treats.
nutritional.
Yeah.
So because this was probably going to be a popular Maha thing, these MAGA influencers all on the same day did tweets that all looked very similar because they got the same talking points. And they all said things like, this is government overreach. Even President Trump likes to drink Diet Coke. And they all had like the same picture of Trump with Diet Coke.
No, don't use welfare bucks for soda. I just think
Yeah, and it's like, wait a minute. Why are
Sodagate, they called it.
Sodagate.
Interesting.
Somebody noticed that I'm
not saying you can't drink soda. You can't, not limiting who can buy it. Just the government is not going to buy your soda. I'm behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be for things that are nutrition. I mean, it's got the word nutritional right in the name. Like, and then people were saying, that Nick Sorter tweet is the best one because he showed how they all had the similar talking points, and then he did a whole thread.
Chiang, not Jerome Powell, Eric Doherty, Clown World.
And they all had that. They were told to use certain phrases like government overreach. And it's like, no, actually, you know what government overreach is? When the government overreaches into my pocket or your pocket and takes money for other people's soda. That's government overreach.
Or wars. Or, just sending billions to Ukraine. Ugh.
So when this happened, then people started talking about how many influencers get paid and you never know it for like what they're being paid for. And it just made me realize, again, we said at the beginning, we're in an age of, this is like a great revealing, and all the things we learned about corporate media, mainstream leftist media, it's true about new media as well. You still have to, have to be discerning. I kind of got lulled into this sort of, I can trust people online. It's like, no, they're just as easily bought as.
Right. Just like the networks were sponsored by Big Pharma. You could look at all their commercials. Individuals can also be bought.
Yes. And so you just have to, we have to, I guess, we just have to be more discerning. I do about things. Because I'm like, are people, I don't even know now. I'm like, are people getting paid for, they are, I guess, for their political positions and stuff.
Yeah. It just means we're not pay-offable.
Right. Or I don't have, maybe they're like, there's not a big enough audience there, or B, not pay-offable. Let's take the flattering one. Not pay-offable.
Look, if someone wants to pay me to talk about flat Earth and the fact that we didn't go to the moon, let's do it. I'm already talking about those things.
How funny. The Van Halen belt.
Yeah. Pay me to talk about that we cannot go through the Van Halen belts. Oh, shoot. That's so funny. Have you been following Bill Burr at all recently?
No, you got to tell me what happened.
In the last few years. Oh, he's just the world's biggest cuck, completely lost his edge. His wife has absolutely chopped his balls off and has them in a jar in the kitchen. He has just, ever since he's been on Star Wars, he was on season 1 of The Mandalorian. Ever since he's been making that sweet, corporate Disney money, he's just changed, and he's become the type of person he used to make fun of. He was on The View recently, just like sucking up to these chicks, and like he would make fun of these ladies. This would be the type of person he would make fun of, and now he just, I think he has such a high level of lifestyle that he's just got to like suck up to the elite, all of the Hollywood leftists. And there is a clip. So he was on The View recently, and it's just, you're like, what is he talking about here? Like, it's clear. Let's play that clip first, and then we'll play.
I have not seen
the clip of him where he's sort of like, I think it's not this one. That's the reaction clip. There's a clip of him on The View, where he's talking about. Oh, him at the Breakfast Club. Bill Burr. I don't know. We all expressed ourselves. There it is. Oh, there's the picture, but maybe there's the clip. Is the clip on that
outfit.
link?
That's it.
That's a clip right there.
You got your headphones on? Okay.
Bill Burr.
I don't know. It's a weird time. But I just feel
The
like
weird time.
someone needs to bring the boiling water down to a simmer, and everybody on both sides. Like if you watch CNN, Fox, you go online, or you listen to politicians. It's
Like,
all,
what is he doing?
And then you walk out on the street, and someone's like, "Hey, how you doing?" You're like, "Good." So I don't think they're living in like a reality.
But is there anybody getting your ire up these days more than usual?
Nerds.
Yeah.
The nerds that own the politician, all these tech nerds that want to build robots because they don't know how to talk to hot women, they're gonna take over the world.
He's referring to Elon Musk, obviously, but which is funny until you look at Bill Burr's wife and you're like, "Ugh, how are you in a position to talk about who can talk to hot women or who can't?" Okay, keep playing, please.
They are literally going to replace us. We're like beta right now, and they're coming out with like the VCR. And I think Elon has got the rockets going because they realize there's other Earths out there, and they're gonna trash this one, and because they don't have any concern for it, and they're gonna move on to the next Earth. And, everybody's going to be standing down here with your blue and red ties going, "Wait a minute, I was on your side," and they're just going to leave.
But you were talking about death in your set. Do they not realize that they're going to die, these people? They don't realize that eventually
I always
everybody
wondered
dies.
that about all religions, where they always talk about a wrathful God and, will send you to hell. And it's like, none of you guys are operating like you fear this, the way you run your religion.
That's right.
So I don't understand any of that. I'm just trying to be like chill. Somebody holds the door. "Hey, thank you."
I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he's trying to kiss up and just kind of say whatever is going to get him booked the most, and just go where the wind blows him. I
heard a couple years ago that he had gotten pretty woke in his comedy. Is that true? 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't keep up with him or anything.
Let's go to the clip of him on the red carpet. I think this is the one where he
reading up, Tell us about your reaction to Luigi Mangione. I was reading up, that perhaps you've been supportive of what he did. What is your take on that?
If you were reading up, I don't think you read up on it. Because I said what I felt about it, and I said what a lot of people said.
Oh, okay. There's a clip of him on, maybe it's in this thread too. There's a clip of him saying like, he was almost like supportive of the fact that the United Healthcare CEO was shot. And he was kind of like taking on the opinion of a lot of people that kind of like glamorize the shooter. And they're like, "Oh, well, yeah. It just was like the opinion of like an idiot 25-year-old girl that's like, "Oh, yeah, of course." And it's like, Bill, you're not somebody who like can't afford healthcare. Like, what are you talking about, dude? It's just, he's so out of touch. Maybe this is it right here. The Luigi clip of him on Kimmel. Go down a little bit. Down. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. The Luigi thing where he's glamorizing his death.
I heard you had to evacuate your home.
Yes. Like most people, I had to. I got lucky, the winds moved, but
Such a bad
the
clip.
fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job. Unlike the internet,
Yeah, right. I know. It's right.
Oh, my God. All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean? And then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds. You want to do that? You want to do that at night, you lunatic?
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
You know about helicopters because I remember, and it's interesting now thinking about it because you said that.
About it. I know about the one that I fly. Other than that, I don't know anything about it.
You know
but
something.
If you're on the internet, you know everything.
I hope you know about it because you said that you got your pilot's license in case like all hell broke loose in L.A., you could get out of L.A. And at any moment, did you think, "I'm going to make a run for that helicopter"?
Well, the error in my thought was I didn't realize how expensive helicopters were. So all I have is a 2-seater, and I didn't want to have to make Sophie's choice with my family. So, We all piled into the SUV like everybody else. But no, man, these guys were out there clearing the trees, getting the wires back up and everything. You know, I mean, it was like the perfect awful thing that could have happened, and it did. And I love how all the chatter out there is about bands of illegal immigrants and homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside. They're cold. And this theory that some homeless guy without a car went from Altadena all the way to the Pacific Palisades, and then we have a hang glider. You know, and they're talking about looting, but CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus. Yeah. Yes.
Like he's struggling to pay insurance. Free Luigi.
Free Luigi.
I love how they acted surprised. Why did that happen? I have no idea. He wrote on the bullets why it happened.
Oh, we're back to Luigi. Okay, yeah.
I never left Luigi.
How is Bill Burr, the father, the husband, in an emergency situation?
I don't know. I'm all right. Like
Are you?
when big stuff happens, I get ridiculously calm. My Achilles heel is little things. So, like, if the house was going to be on
like
fire,
my material,
I would just be like, well, you know, kind of cool to not own anything. Like, I'll just go into that mode. An opportunity to build a dream house with the money I no longer have. I would just think like that. But, like, little things I flip out at. Like, you know, if I go to make toast and then all of a sudden it burns, I'm like, who the is changing the settings? And what I realized, I just realized
right.
this back.
I can pause it. So then a Newsmax reporter asks him on the red carpet what he meant about that bit where he's talking about
Free
Luigi. Yeah.
And I never left him.
Oh, I don't know. I just said it. Why are people listening to what I'm saying? Okay, play it.
Into Luigi Mangione. I was reading up, you know, that perhaps you've been supportive of what he did. What is your take on that?
If you were reading up, I don't think you read up on it. Because I said what I felt about it, and I said what a lot of people said.
Some people took it that way. So could you clarify what you think?
No, I'm not going to just have some controversial moment so you can get clicks. I'm not doing that.
Too late.
I'm here for Conan. I'm not doing all of this. What are you going to bring up next? The Middle East? I went to summer school 3 out of 4 years in high school. I'm not qualified to talk about this.
Yet he talks about it. Yet he talks about it. Yet he went on Kimmel.
Yeah.
And he's like, why were people surprised that a healthcare CEO was shot? That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then when she's like, could you just clarify? It seemed like you're supportive of him. And he's like, yeah, you said I never left Luigi. Oh, it's great. We love Luigi. Free Luigi. But when you ask him about it, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm not qualified to talk on these things. But when he's in a circle jerk, like on The View, or on Kimmel, feels perfectly comfortable, saying these things.
Let me ask you, as a comedian, like, how much of that do you think is just leaning into a joke, or is he really saying? How do you tell as a comic when a comedian is saying something they really believe?
I compare him a lot to Howard Stern, where it's like a departure from how he used to be, and I think he's climbing that ladder, and he wants to make sure he is associating with the right people, and he's getting booked on the right shows, doing the right appearances, and it just, to me, it's like the Howard Stern model of like you're painting yourself into a corner, and because he's making such bank, he doesn't want to mess up his bag, and I think his wife is like not necessarily telling him what to say every step of the way, but it's different how his material is different than how it used to be, and he's just kind of like a soft elitist now, really.
Yeah, I don't know if that Luigi stuff is a joke or not. It's hard for me to tell from that one appearance, but I've seen other people, some comedians, some not, who are sort of idolizing him and making excuses for murder. And do Americans have a right to be upset with healthcare CEOs and with the whole system? Yes, of course. But isn't it funny that those who are celebrating someone who goes out and chooses to, with that dissatisfaction, chooses to murder, they're celebrating that. And yet, these were the same people who could not bend over fast enough for big pharma and for insurance companies and for all of it during COVID.
Get all the shots.
They were get all of the shots. The average, individuals, screw individual
Out
rights,
their
screw
neighbors.
liberty. Yeah, turn in your neighbors. Garcetti, who was mayor of LA at the time, said, "You've heard snitches get stitches, but I'm here to tell you snitches get rewards." And he was giving people in LA County money for turning in their neighbors if they saw them operating a
and the
business
left
or something.
glorifies violence.
Yes.
They love it.
So don't, they're such hypocrites because they try to tell us they're against big pharma and corporations, but then we see them in the fire during COVID. We see them when put to the test, and they were the first ones lining up to bow down and kiss the ring of big pharma.
Yep.
And they're the first ones lining up to try and cut off RFK Jr. at the knees so he can't do anything to investigate the whole process of making so the individuals can't sue pharmaceutical companies, for example, with new vaccine treatments and stuff if it's passed under emergency authorization, things like that. They don't want to help investigate at all. And actually, that little bit of the routine I saw where he was talking about making fun of people at home, talking about the fires are mismanaged, that seemed like the government, that like you couldn't have written that better if the government had been like, hey, go and do some comedy.
Tell us that we did a good job.
That tells the government we did a good job.
Slip it into your set. People don't know what they're talking about. It's not like we had a huge reservoir that wouldn't have done anything.
Those fires were mismanaged. I mean, one of the things it brought to light was the videos that the DEI fire chief and stuff. Did you see that woman? She was this overweight black woman in the LA County Fire Department who had been promoted to this really high position, who was on video.
She didn't know anything about fires. She didn't even know anything about burning calories.
She said, what was it? Oh, that when you're in a fire, that you want somebody who looks like you to come rescue you.
Oh, right.
What are you talking about, lady?
Like if my husband, I would say your husband's in the wrong place.
Yeah, she said, and sometimes people ask me, about being overweight, like, could you rescue my husband from a fire? And she basically said, if your husband's in a fire, he got himself in the wrong place. Like, what are you talking about?
Play this horrible person, this beast of a woman, this gastropod.
Want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. The
situation of being in a fire?
You couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. What if your husband is disabled?
Wow.
He shouldn't have had diabetes.
Wow. Absolutely insane that someone like that makes it to such a high level in the fire department.
I'm going to shame the victims of fire instead of, just doing a good job.
And did you see those memes? There was one meme of a woman and a child in a fire, and they'd put the text over it says, "I hope a fat lesbian of color rescues me." What are you talking about? Nobody's sitting in a fire like, I hope it's someone who it's equitable, blah, blah, blah. No. You just want somebody who's capable of getting out of the fire.
How real people think. It's like they're just trying to justify their own DEI bullshit.
Anyway.
Well,
Mr. Bill Burr.
I've been enjoying watching his public decline, I guess. I mean, he's doing great. Probably he's so rich and happy with himself, but behind all that money is a sad man.
I wonder if he did any big soda tweets.
Yeah. Do we have any other lingering super chats, Fieldy?
Yeah, we got just a few more. So we've got, I think we were up to here. Chris Tony for 5 said, I'm a fan, Miss Chrissie.
Oh.
I've been inspired to send you some hate mail in Old English.
Oh.
Wench, thy wild red pagan hair betrayeth thy moral pretense.
That's excellent.
Yes, more of that.
Then Junior for 5 said, I voted for Trump to scare shit libs, and it worked.
It did.
And then Mayhem Bear said, Roar. Any chance of Owen Benjamin return to Mayorsphere?
Yeah, I'm not against talking to him again. He's an interesting character.
Owen Benjamin is, I interviewed him once. I feel like he has a really good heart. That's just the feeling I get from him. And I know he has said a lot of things about the Jews, and I was, pointing out that that's become very popular. But I always felt like he says it in jest, and he's also kind of figuring things out. And lately I've seen that he's calling out a lot of these people like Candace Owens and Ian Carroll and stuff. And he's basically like, well, I guess now that it's become mainstream to point out the Jew, like he's like moving on.
I'm the first person.
He's like moving on. Anyway, that's funny. That guy gives me. I don't know. People say I'm a bit of Pollyanna, but I think that guy has a good heart. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's up to watch everybody and see how you feel.
Yeah,
even the people who maybe sound ridiculous, like me.
Sound ridiculous. Yes.
Keri. There was also one other super chat didn't show up in that list. It was from Good Night that said Keri X takeover.
Good night. Well, did we reach? We didn't reach our goal, so
no,
that won't be happening. My Twitter is safe.
It's safe from
safe. You know what? I'll just let you tweet it anyway.
I'm gonna
get one tweet.
Tweet some puns.
My God, Keri, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was so great.
Me. Congratulations on your new studio.
Thank you.
I love it. I love the paper. I love the decorations. Nice choice of lights, like Art Deco. I like the little thank you here.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
Thank you so much.
Is this from The Shining?
Yes, it is. You're the first person to recognize that. Yep.
That's great.
You got a lot of pieces of flair on the wall. Keri, where can people find you? What's coming up?
You can find me at Deprogrammed with Keri Smith, YouTube, Rumble, or on X at Real Keri Smith. And lately I've been doing a series of interviews with Christian men who are very vocally anti-woke, but also vocally anti whatever this woke right mess is that's rising up. Because I kind of want to show that it's not just, like we said at the beginning, everybody's piling on James Lindsay lately. It's not just James Lindsay that sees this. There's a lot of Christian men talking about this too. And I've discovered some really interesting people. I just did an interview with Will Spencer, and he's a guy who, he has such an interesting story coming to Christ. Like he went through like, he grew up in Judaism, went through the New Age movement, Burning Man. He went through the Manosphere and all these. Wow. And so just this, he's got like a lot. He is a wealth of knowledge, first of all, and then a really smart guy and just a fascinating story. And so yeah, I've got some more of those interviews coming up. But,
awesome. Sounds good. Everyone if you're not following Keri Smith, what are you even doing with your life?
Yeah.
Where can people send you like a cowboy hat or, cowboy boots? Do you have a P.O. box?
I do, but I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh.
You can send me, if you're going to send Chrissy old English hate mail, you
please
put mine in country. You need to make it sound countrified somehow.
Get more creative with your hate mail, people. Creative. This was a great little chat. Thank you to the chat for your comments and questions. Appreciate you guys as always. And of course, the VIPs. Yeah, very exciting. Next NightMayr guest is going to be Anthony Cumia on April 11th. Very excited for that. I guess my next stand-up date, my next headlining date is going to be May 17th up here in Mount Kisco. And yeah, for tickets, go to chrissiemayr.com. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And thank you to Keri Smith for coming out. Yeah, and bringing your Mexican husband along.
My handsome husband.
Aw. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
say goodbyes.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Evan.
Goodbye, my darling.
Goodbye, Rorschach.
Goodbye, Eric.
Goodbye, Willie.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye, yogurt. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, David.
Goodbye, my friend.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Ranger.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, bro. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Anderson.
Goodbye, Clem.
Goodbye, brother.
Goodbye, Colonel.
Goodbye, old friend.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, Simba.
Goodbye, my friend.
Goodbye, Parzival.
Goodbye, my son.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, buddy.
Goodbye.